Welcome back to Auto Vista, where we take you deep into the history, the design, and the soul of the most iconic vehicles ever made. Today, we're diving into a rugged classic from an era when trucks were built tough, simple, and full of character, the 1987 Dodge Ram pickup truck. Now, the 80s were a transformative time for the auto industry. While others were slowly starting to focus on smoother rides and sleeker curves, Dodge stuck to its guns with a boxy, bold, and purely American design. The 1987 Dodge Ram is the last of the old-school pickups before the sweeping changes that would define the 1990s. This truck wasn't trying to be luxurious, and it wasn't trying to be a family SUV in disguise. It was a truck, and it never pretended to be anything else. Let's talk design. The first thing you notice is that squared-off front end. The wide rectangular headlights, the unmistakable crosshair grille, and the tough steel bumper, it's a face that means business. Dodge didn't try to round off the edges or soften the stance. It stood firm in its boxy philosophy. The 1987 model carried the same basic styling that Dodge had been using since 1981, and that's exactly why people loved it. That design didn't need to change. It looked like a truck. It was a truck. Step around to the side and you'll see classic, utilitarian lines. Nothing overly flashy, but everything has a purpose. Those fenders, flat and strong. That bed, long, deep, and made to haul whatever you can throw into it. Whether you were hauling tools, timber, or a dirt bike, the Ram had your back. Pop the hood, and under there you could find a few different engine options depending on how the truck was ordered. One of the most common choices was the venerable 5.2-liter V8, also known as the 318. This engine had been around forever, and by 1987, Dodge had perfected it. It wasn't the fastest engine on the block, but it was reliable, torquey, and easy to work on. You could also get the legendary 5.9-liter 360 volts 8, and for those looking to save on fuel, Dodge even offered a slant 6 engine, a straight 6 with durability in its DNA. Power wasn't massive by today's standards, but back then, torque was king. These engines were all about low-end grunt, and they delivered just that. You could tow a boat, haul a trailer full of hay, or take a drive across the desert, and it wouldn't complain. The transmissions matched this workhorse mentality. Most came with a TorqueFlite automatic or a 4-speed manual that clicked into gear with that satisfying metal-on-metal sound only old trucks make. Climb into the cabin, and you'll find one of the most honest interiors of the era. This isn't a plush leather-wrapped lounge. This is where vinyl seats, rubber floors, and simple dials ruled. It was designed for utility. Everything was easy to reach, easy to clean, and built to last. The dashboard was straightforward: speedometer, fuel, oil pressure, and a couple of switches. That's it. No distractions, no digital screens. Just you, the wheel, and the open road. But that's what makes the 1987 Dodge Ram so charming. It's not trying to entertain you with tech. It's trying to get you where you're going without ever breaking a sweat. And when you're behind that big, wide wheel, looking out over that tall hood, you feel like you're in command of something powerful, something real. By 1987, Dodge had also started to improve the comfort and ride quality just a bit, without losing that rugged edge. The suspension was still firm, leaf springs in the rear, of course, but the truck didn't beat you up like earlier models did. And even though it was still a rough and ready machine, it could still serve as a daily driver. One detail that made the 87 Ram special was how it straddled the old and the new. It was still carbureted, still simple, but it was getting small improvements as Dodge prepared for the modern era. That year was right before fuel injection became widespread, right before interiors started to get computerized, and right before trucks began to blur the lines between work and luxury. The 1987 model still had that raw authenticity that makes classic truck fans smile. Let's talk variants. The 1987 Ram came in several trims and configurations. You had the D Series for 2-wheel drive and the W Series for 4-wheel drive. You could get a short bed or a long bed, a standard cab or a club cab. There was the base custom trim, the more refined SE, and even the Royal SE, which added a touch of comfort, think nicer upholstery, carpeted floors, and a touch more chrome. But regardless of trim, every Ram shared the same work ethic. It was built to do a job, and it didn't need frills to prove itself. Now, if you were lucky enough to get the 4x4 version, you got one of the toughest off-road pickups of the era. These weren't delicate AWD systems. This was old-school four-wheel drive with a solid front axle, a transfer case lever on the floor, and the ability to crawl through mud, snow, or sand like a beast. The W150 was especially popular among outdoorsmen, farmers, and anyone who needed true capability. And here's something you might not know: the 1987 Dodge Ram was part of a generation that eventually gave birth to the Cummins diesel legend. While the Cummins wasn't available until 1989, the platform was being prepped for it around this time. That means the bones of this truck were strong enough to handle the torque of one of the most famous diesel engines ever put in a pickup. Over time, these trucks became icons. Not because they were the flashiest or the most powerful, but because they refused to quit. They earned their respect 1 mile at a time. And today, finding a clean 1987 Dodge Ram is like discovering a piece of American heritage. It's a reminder of when vehicles were built to be tools first, and status symbols second. Here at Auto Vista, we celebrate that kind of authenticity. The 1987 Dodge Ram is a truck that doesn't apologize for what it is. It's square, it's tough, it's loud, and it's proud. Whether you see it parked on a farm, cruising down a back road, or restored and shining at a car show, it still makes a statement. Not about money, not about style, but about strength, dependability, and character. If you've ever driven one, you know what I mean. There's a certain confidence you feel behind the wheel of this truck. A connection to a time when driving wasn't about algorithms or voice commands. It was about the sound of the engine, the feel of the road, and the satisfaction of a job well done. So if you ever come across one of these old Rams, give it a second look. It's not just an old truck. It's a symbol of an era. A time when Dodge built machines that were as real as the people who drove them. Thanks for watching Auto Vista. If you enjoyed this ride through truck history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a classic. Drop a comment below: what's your favorite old school pickup? Until next time, keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the horizon.